Do you want to know how amazing people connect? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie.
Thanks for connecting. And if you like what you hear, please share.
Special thank you to our sponsors of Marketing with Russ, Par Lumber of Albany, Oregon, and the Oaks at Lebanon Retirement and Senior Living. For more information on Par Lumber in Albany, Oregon, and their lumber materials and supply stock, you can call 541-926-1525. And for more information about the Oaks at Lebanon Retirement and Assisted Living, call 541-258-7777. Ta-da! Hey everybody, welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie on this Monday. I am so glad you're here joining us today. Man, this is going to be a great show. I am so excited for my guest, CJ, who's going to be with me shortly. And before we get to her, though, and let her tell all about the amazing things that she is doing, just wanted to remind you, I'm Russ. This is Marketing with Russ, and we're here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for your listening and viewing pleasure. And I'm telling you, we love this community. You guys are amazing. I am so blessed. Every time I think about all the people that are praying for me and are a blessing in my life, encouraging me, I just want to tell you thank you so much for that. And, you know, that's what community is all about. Everybody just caring and hanging in for each other. And so, you know, I'm all about connection and community building when it comes to life in general. But when you're having challenges in life, it's when a lot of times when the rubber meets the road and people really come together and you find out who your real true connections and friends are. And you guys are amazing. And I'm so blessed. So thank you so much. You know, this show, Marketing with Russ, is all about how amazing people connect. How amazing people connect. And I'm telling you, CJ today is one of those amazing people. And I just can't wait to have her on. But, you know, we have been blessed with so many people that have been on this show. And I want to tell you that you could go to our YouTube page. And the best way to do that is marketingwithruss.live. And you can get all the past content of people that have been on the show that have been amazing. And you can get notices about upcoming content. And you definitely want to do that because there is so much great information there, value for you. And I know you'll be blessed. So I love to connect with you, with people. I just love people. And you go to russhedge.com, and you can connect directly with me. How, you say? Well, I tell you, pretty much any way you can think of. I've got all my social media. I've got my email, my phone number. You can even schedule time directly on my calendar to Zoom with me. We can connect and meet and talk, get to know each other. I would love to do that. So please today, take advantage of that. Go to russhedge.com. Plus, it has all of the other information about me. If you want to know anything about me, there it is, russhedge.com. And today, before the show gets started, whether you're watching live or on replay, it doesn't matter. You can still share it out there. You can let your friends know what is going on in Marketing with Russ. And today that CJ is going to be on, it's going to be amazing and you don't want to miss it. So share this out with your friends. I'd really appreciate it. You can also tag your friends and just really engage today. Engage in the comments, not only communicating with CJ and I, but also you could be connecting and communicating with other people in the comments watching the show. So looking forward to really hearing from you today and having you engaged in the show. So, okay, I think that is just about it. Other than, gotta say, if you haven't got your copy of my book, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, please pick up a copy. You can go to russhedge.com and get one, or you can also go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any online bookseller, and get a copy as well. There's even a companion workbook you can get on Amazon only. You can go there and get the ebook version of that, and that just helps you get more value out of the book, and it helps to encourage you and just inspire you all that much more, because that's what I'm all about. I'm here today to inspire and encourage you to live a purpose-driven life of significance. And what do I mean by that? I want you to be a world changer. I want you to be a difference maker. I want you to do the amazing things God has created you to do. And so I do that by bringing on amazing people to add value to your life, to inspire and encourage you. And if there's anything I can do, please connect with me, and I would love to do that. So that is definitely enough. We're going to get CJ in the house. Here she comes. Hey, CJ. Woo!
Ooh, I need a drums. Oh my gosh, my road is here, but I don't know which one is a drum. I have to figure that one out. Oh my gosh, thank you
Well,
so
it
much.
is so great to have you here. I mean, I am just blessed and honored that you would be on with me today. And I've heard so much about you, and we've been able to chat a little bit. I'm looking forward to learning more myself today. So let's just start off with the basics. Who is CJ, and what are you all about?
Wow, I don't think we have enough time. Let's see. I'm gonna take it into 5 minutes. Well, I was born and raised in the Philippines. I grew up there since I was 13. I came to the US, didn't know how to speak English. I actually started with ELD at that time. Now it's ESL, but before it was English language development. Now it's English as a second language. When you come here and basically you have to learn English, you have to take 3 years, like every single year. I did 3 years worth of work in 3 months. I'm very dedicated. Education's my passion. Um, um, Literally, my mom is American. She was born in LA. She was in trouble at that time in the 60s where she got sent to the Philippines. Like they literally, her parents got divorced and said, "You are going to your auntie." And they're more strict, right? Well, she went there at 15, met my dad at 16, got pregnant, and had me at 17. Yeah.
Wow.
And she got in trouble, came back here without me. So I was like literally abandoned as a child. And in Asian culture, we literally are the first thing is before you can even speak is education. Education is really it. Poor, rich, in between, whatever. Education is your key to anything. And so I thought, oh, if I'm going to be competing with 8,000 kids and if I'm number one, surely my parents will come get me, right? From America. They never did. I did that year after year after year. And it became a habit where education is a second thing, like breathing for me. And so I came to America and that's what I did. I literally just ate up English. And actually, my academic advisor said it's not possible. We've never had any students come in here, do 3 years in 3 months. And my mom's like, "You're the one who tested her, test her again." And yeah, I graduated early in junior year as well, got into Yale, didn't go to Yale, full scholarship and went here, went to college, got married, and then went back to school while pregnant with my second child to get my MBA. And then after I gave birth to her, 2 months later, I got my doctorate in international business. And then I went back to school a couple of years ago to get my fourth degree, which is another master's in cybersecurity and counterterrorism. Graduated a month ago. I might be going back this October for another master's in psychology.
Wow. Like you haven't done enough already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that is That is incredible. I mean, you are an amazing person. All that you were able to overcome and accomplish, and so you got here. You really, I mean, like you said, you dove into to education and all that you've done. So, did you step back and say, "What do I really want to do with my life with all this stuff?" Or
Yeah,
were you driven already?
I was already driven, but I really didn't have a purpose. It was just like education, like I said, comes natural. But when I was a dean at a university, I was a dean on ground. COVID happened. I became a dean at another university because it was remote. But I was having issues with keeping my stats, meaning my students were leaving, my faculty were leaving. And I'm like, wait, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, we're
Right.
remote. Shouldn't you guys be happy that you're working remote? But I didn't know that, now because remote happens, my students' kids are at home. They can't turn on their camera to basically go to school, right? Because it's noisy with kids yelling. And the university's requirement is you have to have your camera and your thing on. Well, you can't because my kids are screaming, right? It's a
Right.
distraction. And
Right.
then the faculty lost their job, their regular job, because adjunct works, part-time teaching and then full-time job. Well, because they lost their job, now they have to get another remote job. So then the students would be having late assignments, and then the faculty would be like, no, you can't submit late assignments because now they have like a gazillion jobs they can't do. So the
Right.
pressure of COVID got into different multiple ways with faculty and students, and they were just not happy with each other. So I said, what do I do? And I talked to my girlfriend and she's like, why don't you do podcasts? I'm like, girl, I do not know anything about audio video. What? And she's like, you'll figure it out. Go to YouTube University. That's what she calls it. And I was like, oh. So 85 hours I spent. My husband bought me the Roadcaster and I was like way too much button. So it sat there collecting dust for a month. And then finally I couldn't take it anymore. And I started with my own story. My first episode was about me. And then the second episode was a student who was recently divorced, 50 years old. She said, education changed her life. She felt good about herself and showing to her kids that education doesn't have to stop when you're 20 or 30. You could get it at 50 or 60 or 70. It's just your thoughts, all this society telling you. And so I see that. And as a dean, you see like your students, right? You only learn a bunch of theory. And that's why a lot of people don't want to go back to school in college. A lot of money you're going to owe, time that you're going to lose with whatever you need to do. And then at the end of that, you get a piece of paper and you still don't know what to do with your real job,
Right.
right? It's a checkbox, like you have a bachelor's, you have a master's, but really there's nothing there. Well, what I was doing in teaching, and as a dean, I had a full time job. I was a commercial finance analyst. And then I quit that and I doubled down in education. So what happened was I said, okay, there's got to be a way that I can bridge between theory that we teach in universities and then
Right.
real world. Like, how do you do
Right.
emotional intelligence at work? How do you coach a business leader? Because you get to be a manager, but no one taught you how to be a manager. You're a good worker, but you're not really a good manager. You don't know how to manage people. You need
Right.
support, right? And then we have teachers transitioning to corporate and they're like, whoa, how do I deal with my boss micromanaging me? Right. And so that's what Level Up Academy is. So we're bridging the gap between the students who's trying to have all the theory, book smart, but doesn't have a street smart. Like, you got to figure this out. And so
Right.
that's what I do for Level Up Academy. But I also have a podcast, and I also have books and coming out in July and magazines. I work full time now still. I'm a director at a state college and I work and teach full time 6 hours a day, Monday to Thursday. I teach
Wow.
6 hours until 10 o'clock at night. It starts at like 2 to 10 o'clock at night every day. I run my podcast. I have 2 kids. I still drive them to school.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. I'm
yeah.
tired. I'm tired just listening to you. You need some more to do, CJ, definitely, because you know, this is what I love about what you've done, because you've really honed into the idea. There is a big disconnect, and I found this out too. I came out with my bachelor's from Oregon State, and then went into the working world, and found out they had to start all over training you and teach you real world, smarts and communication and how to actually function in business. And so there is a huge disconnect there, but you also are so passionate about it. You've taken that passion and you've turned it into something to help other people. Level Up Academy, you've been able to use that information and are using that information, which I think is so cool. And then you're still got your hand in education along with it, which really gives you that bridge, which is awesome.
Yeah. And that's why I said I'm going to be an advanced student for life, because I have to put my pulse where the root cause of the problem is, right?
Right.
And trying to figure it out. But I'm lucky that I'm the type of person, most people will have one job and one job only. I've always had three jobs at the same time. I was a global speaker for Nestle. I traveled even when my kids were little. I take them everywhere. I homeschooled them for a little bit, right? I just function that way where I need two, three things. And people are like, well, what do you have millions of degrees? I said, well, you don't understand with education is that third party people, which is your accreditors, right? WASCs, DAAC, they'll tell you, you cannot teach a class or any course, don't even touch it if you haven't taken it during your degree, right? You can't teach a class that you've never taken.
Right.
But because CJ has taken a lot of classes, CJ can teach a lot of classes. You see what I'm going
Oh
here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, okay, so all right, my beautiful wife is in education. She's an elementary school librarian. So it keeps my thumb on the pulse of what's going on in education and all that. And there's a lot of things happening that are good. Let's look at the good stuff first. There's a lot of good things that are happening where they are doing some things that are helping people look at real world stuff. I love some of coming into some of the high schools, you can actually learn a trade, and they have things that will advance you directly into trade schools and things where there are people that really don't need the college. They need education about the trade they want to go into. And there's other things that have done a lot of good, but there's also through education still that disconnect. I think there's still that issue, and they need people like you that really help to shine the light on that, I think.
Yeah. And my claim to fame with my friends, especially at the Hounds, is like, guys, I can dream big. My dream is to be the Netflix of education. And I'll tell you what, most people, especially our brain now, it's like, give me 40 seconds, summarize everything, right? And that's how I learn. It's called micro learning. Well, I can do that by creating small snippet of video and workbook that you can follow. Like, you know how you go on entertainment on Netflix, but instead of watching movies and veg out, you can watch me for 5-10 minutes, teach you a specific things that you can do while you're doing the workbook. Then
Yeah.
I can create a meeting, Zoom meeting as a group, so we can have experiential learning. So you're getting feedback, not just from me, but hundreds of people or thousands of people that are going to be having that same issue. And now you have, instead of one solution, you got a million solutions that you can pick from. So that's
Right.
where I want it to be. It's more of like an open source of minds, and it's not just one. So that's my vision. So I'm trying to create, also on top of everything I'm doing, I'm trying to create a membership where I can create more videos and dump it in there so people can actually see what they can potentially learn from. Because some people don't want to like go to education for 5 years,
Right.
they want to learn something now because I'm working with my job and I don't know how to deal with my boss right now. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I love what you said earlier, YouTube University. So, hey, I'll give you two real short examples. One, my adult children, I have a 32 and a 30-year-old. This is a couple of years ago. They were both living up in Washington and Seattle at the time, and they were driving down to see my wife and I, and they had a flat tire, and they had never changed a tire. They called the roadside assistance. It was going to take an hour and a half. The tire store was closing, and they had to get there. They had to get their spare on and get there to get a new tire to drive down. And so they just YouTubed it, worked together. The two of them changed that tire. They were over there. Forget roadside assistance. They learned just that fast from that. And the other day, I had something as simple as, sometimes you buy those lotion bottles or shampoo bottles and they have the pump thing on them, and it
Yeah.
doesn't work most of the time. And you're wondering why. I'm spinning, I'm moving, it doesn't work. I YouTube that. Within a minute, I figured out what the problem was and how to fix it, and boom, it was working. I mean, simple things, but things that just drive us crazy, right? But we can learn through that. And so your whole idea, I love it. of coming together with short bits of information and teaching with workbooks. That is an amazing thing, and I want to sign up for that. Let's Follow Up Academy or whatever you call it. Snippets. I'm there.
Yeah, 5 minutes. That's all you really need is 5 minutes and a workbook, and then move to the next one because your brain just can't function 1 hour of lecture. In my lecture, I do 1 hour, but it's more interactive. I don't sit there and just teach. I can't do boring. Like it's just not in my nature. So I was like, guys, let's party. Let's talk about music and this business, element right now, and how do we do the mindset thing right now change. And that's how I teach. And I have 10,000 students already. I have medical doctor students who's trying to get a hospital, started. And I also teach K to 12 for 3.5 years. So
Oh
my
my
youngest
goodness.
students is 4 years old and my oldest is 78.
Wow. That is amazing. You are covering it all. I'm telling you. Well, I love what you said there too, because that is so true. I know from my own brain, but other people as well. And the things we do here on live stream, people have a very short attention span.
Mhm.
That's why I keep most of my live streams at a half an hour. The only one I go an hour is Russ Reels Live because it's a topic driven panel driven show where there's a whole bunch of people on it, and that keeps people's attention longer. But most people can't sit and listen or watch anything. People have trouble watching movies and sitting there for the whole time. So what you're saying there is so true. Having short bits and the interactive part, we all learn better when we're at least speaking and interacting and engaging, or actually doing something. And every time that I speak, when I go do a keynote, it is always getting people involved. They're either chanting back to me, or I'm asking somebody to stand up and do something, or I'm having them all sing something with me, doing something that's really keeping them engaged instead of just sitting there listening. And boy, I tell you, I was in a lot of those, CJ, at Oregon State, where they just droned on. And I would tell my friend beside me, oh, please take good notes because I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people put those glasses that the eyes are open, but they're really taking a nap. The problem is if I did that, I'd be like, she's sleeping because she's snoring right now. Like they would know. And I was like, oh man, I can't. But yeah, I have a passion for helping others and I love leveling up everyone.
Yeah.
Because I think I really truly believe in collaboration over competition, right?
Oh, yeah.
We run
Yeah.
in small circles, but I'm like, guys, there's plenty more people outside the circle. I mean,
Yeah.
7 billion people, 7 billion people. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even on LinkedIn alone, you have what, 800 million people? That's a lot. Even
That is a lot.
1%, we're not even there. So I love and challenge people. That's why I have a new project too. I hope you engage in that. It's a 50 inspirational connections. I don't know if you know that. But
Well,
there's a
I
lot
do
of us that
now.
do live. Yeah, go for it. It's just 8 questions. And then you have 5 minutes of video to tell one portion of your story. That basically sometimes somebody inspires you or you're inspired yourself to do, especially your story could be inspirational to somebody else. What I'm trying to do is leave a legacy and make an impact today for the future.
Awesome. Awesome. Where do people find that?
It is on my website, lua by docleyland.com. So it's LUABYDOCLEYLAND.com. And you'll see 50 inspirational connections.
Perfect. Well, and just to let everybody know too, you will find that clickable in the show notes and it'll show up in the comments as well. It probably already has, and you'll be able to click on that, go directly there, and I'm going to do it for sure. And I just think what's so amazing about you, CJ, is how passionate you are and how much you care. I love it. There's a quote by John Maxwell that I love. He says, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." That's so true in education. If you don't think the professors or the teachers care, the students don't care at all. And when I was talking about putting my head down and going to sleep, and my friend next to me taking notes, that true story, by the way, I did graduate, but I slept through a lot of lectures. But you know what? The professors could care less. They were up there teaching. Though in those big lecture halls, they could care less whether you listened or not. And the most value I got out of any classes at Oregon State was a journalism class of only about 30 people. I was 30 seconds late for a class one time, and the teacher called me out in a nice way, but she cared that I was there on time, ready to learn, and really engaged with the students. And that made you work hard. I aced that class, and it was the probably the toughest class that I took at Oregon State. But it was because the professor cared about the students. And with your passion and how much you care, I can see why everybody just is just, you know, totally engaged with all you're doing.
Yeah, and I put ABBA, Bee Gees, Journey. Those are my favorite songs. And back in the day, so that
Love
I'm like,
them.
hey,
Woo!
yeah, and I'm like, guys, so that they know that in before class starts, I have a music on because I want them to be in that mood of like welcoming, not like, oh my God, we're gonna talk about law today because I teach ethics and law, and especially one time I had to do a 6-hour lecture on statistics at 6 a.m. on Sunday. I will never do that again.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I was so glad that my students were really good with math and stats because I didn't have to pull my hair out. Because math, business statistics is one of my favorite, especially if I talk about Amazon and how stats is like, I get so excited. But then you're like, and looking at myself, I'm like, dude, you're the only one who's excited. Your students are dying over here. They don't understand. I'm like, okay, how do we do this? Can we do, so I have to like literally go 5-year old, like, what is an apple? It's red, like, and, but you have to make sure that you don't sound condescending,
Right.
right? Because even though they might not get it, they could be somebody else in huge, right? But they're just not getting that specific subjects that they hate in the first place. Everyone hates math. And so I have to like thread be carefully. I'm like, okay, we're gonna count butterflies today, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I am totally with you. I hate math, by the way, and I was always more of a. I'm a right brain creative. I went into college as a music major, so I mean, I was always more the creative type. But good example of what you're just saying too, of getting people engaged. Because I had an economics class, uh, took it too early. I was a freshman. It was a sophomore level class I wasn't ready for, and so I went in there, and this teacher wrote his own book, thought he was all that, and the professor spoke way above everybody there, and just assumed everybody knew what it was all about. Literally, no joke, sophomore in college, 19 years old. I leave that class. I mean, no, as a freshman in college, 18 years old. I leave that class. I flunked it, and I had no idea what economics even was at the end of the class. That's a sad testament for the teacher. I retook that class with another professor the next year. He starts off with, because this one professor, it was a microeconomics class. He's teaching micro and macro combined too, instead of just one, which made it even more confusing. The other professor, I walk in, he goes, okay, you walk into Circle K, you get a bag of Doritos and a half rack of beer. And then he goes through the store and he goes, and that's economics. In 2 minutes, I understood what economics was in that class when I had taken an entire term and had no idea. So the whole point is how he got us engaged. And he also pulled us in and engaged us in the class. And so, yeah, you're really exciting me about all you're doing, because
Yeah,
that
I
is great,
gamify
great stuff.
economics. I love to teach economics, but I will make it into a game. We
Right.
literally, there's a game that I put in the class from Harvard that I teach my students, and it's supply and demand. That's it. You're buying, you're selling. That's it, economics. And then there's more into in between. I'm like, let's learn the in between,
Right.
opportunity cost. Let's go. And I think accounting in the LIFO, I didn't even know that not all students know that it's illegal on international world. Only America does it. And they're like, well, why is it illegal? They're asking. And all of these people are business owners, by the way. So they do their own bookkeeping and they didn't know. I'm like, let's play a game. And they're looking at me like, are you sure? Like, yes, we're doing microeconomics today. Tomorrow we'll do macro. Um, but I love doing analysis and showing. I think the key to teaching and learning is be teaching at their level. Don't use
Right.
big words just to
Right.
sound smart. That's really my thing. It's like, if no one understands you, then what's the point of you being a teacher?
Exactly. Well, I think honestly, it's insecurity. in the professors and people. They have to feel smarter than everybody. And I think you are, man, you hit it right, the nail right on the head. And I can already tell you that as soon as we get off here, we're scheduling part 2 because you and I could keep going and going and going, but it's time to wrap the show up. So today we have to stop. But I just, man, there is so much we could talk about. I've got all these questions in my head. Mic drop after mic drop, gold nugget after gold nugget. I mean, I've already learned so much just listening to you. So I appreciate you being here today. I want to conclude it by you telling everybody, what do you really want them to remember from today? What's your gold nugget of the day? And then how do people get in touch with you?
Sure. What I want you to do is don't do anything that you're not passionate about, whether it's for work. Don't sell your soul. Stick to your own integrity. Doesn't matter if you feel alone today, because you're going to attract people with the same wavelength. And just stick with your passion. What your gut tells you, follow it. Right. And if you need to talk to me, I don't care who you are, where you are, DM me, we'll chat, Zoom.
That's so awesome. Well, we just happen to have all your connection information in the comments and in the show notes. And so again, people can easily go directly to you. And I want to encourage everybody. You need to connect with CJ. You need to learn more about all that she's doing, because this is amazing stuff. So I'm just, again, honored that you were here today. I want to thank you. And we will, as soon as we get done here, we will schedule part 2. So I'm going to say goodbye, but hang tight in the green room. I'll be right there. Hey, everybody. Wow. Okay. I'm telling you, these shows get better and better and better with amazing people. And I'm so blessed and honored to have on. I have so many friends that are just incredible. They make me look better and smarter just by having them on. So I appreciate that so much. And I want to tell you that we're here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie, for your listening and viewing pleasure with amazing people who connect, and you don't want to miss it. You do not want to miss the people that we have. So share this with your friends, let them know, and you can share this out still, even here at the end of the video, even if you missed it in the first part. Also, don't forget, subscribe on YouTube and go to marketingwithruss.live. That's how you get to my YouTube page. Just type it. I make it real simple. marketingwithruss.live, straight there. You can hit the subscribe button. You'll be glad you did, because there's great information there. And I want to thank you all so much for being here today. It has been an amazing day, and we'll be back this coming Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, with another guest, another great show. And don't forget, you also can check out the Experience Live with Russ and Scott every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. You can check out the Experience backstage before that on Instagram Live at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And Russ Reels Live Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And that one is a great one. It's a topic-driven, panel-driven show. Great topics. You don't want to miss that. So anyway, that's it. Until we see you again, have a great day and a great life. Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an amazing day.